Well, right after the success of our first video, a whopping 14 views, 1 like, and 2 comments, we should address some certain, the comments. We should read our comments, viewer comments, and, just to encourage us and push us through the next video. Are you ready for these?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. The first one is from Red and Shooty. Eat shit and die.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And the second comment is also from Red and Shooty. You guys suck. Not enough Jakey Polly roasting. Unsubscribing. Oh.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe this video will be different, because we're talking about something semi-
Nothing related to Undertale? What? It's related to Undertale?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh
yeah.
no.
And I know last time we said we wouldn't talk about a certain type of game called Deltarune, but
Jesus fucking Christ! Deltarune is a tale of vengeance. Jack Nicholson stars as Billy Wan Bilbo, who's trying to travel across the great land of Middle-earth to destroy the Ring of Sauron before Vader and the Death Star totally destroy everything. So let's talk about Undertale, or Deltarune.
Alright, Deltarune. So, this is a demo. We should refer to this as Deltarune Chapter 1.
Deltarune is more like a demo. So.
Yeah, at least that's what Toby Fox clarified it as. He clarified it as a demo, and there's going to be more chapters coming on, but he said that it would be like batches, so I think this is just a demo to a full game, really.
I hope it's not going to be an episodic thing. I don't care for that formula. I just kind of would like it all in one package. Deltarune's definitely been a great way to get people hyped for it, though, so it's not like it's ineffective, so there's that.
Yeah, it's not taking place in the Undertale, or at least it's not a continuation of Undertale. Toby Fox made it clear to everyone that that wasn't the case.
Oh, you tell that to the entire fan community.
you know for a fact they're just gonna fucking do that kind of type of shit.
Yeah, they will.
But anyways, now that we're introducing this came out actually on Halloween of last year. So I guess it was a Halloween gift from Toby Fox to his fans.
Well, it's also, they think it's a reference to his earlier work making a hack of Earthbound. He made like a Halloween hack of Earthbound. That's what a lot of people say it's kind of a reference to. So I guess we could start with the story itself. Basically, it's hard to really talk about this story without diverting back to Undertale so much. So I guess we'll have to start with spoilers just to begin with.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Don't click on this video.
If you don't want spoilers, just go find a lethal dosage of Adderall and take it as quickly as possible. For those of you who like spoilers, though, let's continue. So, basically, I guess we can also jump into my next point I put down for talking about stories, and it's speculation, because the universe itself seems like a sequel at first glance, but then it becomes very clear it's not a sequel. It's, as Toby Fox established, but it looks like it, very much so. So I'm going to go on and henceforth address it as a parallel timeline, just for time's sake. You want to kind of just give a brief summary of the main plot, which is,
Alright, so you play as a game, or a guy, or a girl, or a gender-neutral person, whatever, named Chris. You go to high school, and basically you fall into a hole with the class bully named Susie. Wacky shenanigans happen. You're in the underworld, pretty much. You meet a black goat named Rouse, and basically you guys become a group to find your way out. You fight a bunch of people, and you make it out. And that's basically the plot of Deltarune.
Yeah, you kind of missed some parts here. Like when you're in the underground, the whole time there's this reference to the king of spades, if you will. I'm gonna refer to him as the King of Spades. He's just got this overall presence or whatever, and you fight him in the end, basically.
And he is the father to another character that is seen a lot called Lancer.
Yes. Basically, this is like Undertale again, where it's just a very character-driven thing, and to me, I think it plays very much so in favor of the story that they have the party system in this game, as opposed to Undertale, where it was just your character, and you kind of silently interact with those characters in Undertale, whereas in this one, you have Raziel, Raziel, Black Goat, the goat boy himself. It's just a very character-driven story once again. Not quite as big of a cast of characters in the Dark Land as Undertale, obviously. Like, you really only have, I guess you have kind of more. I mean, I don't know. Can you really count that dork who sets up the traps as really much of a character, you know?
Not really. It's mainly, there are a bunch of characters there, but it's mainly in minor roles. There's only like a handful. There's only the main three, Lancer. Those are really the game spends most time on those four characters, and it makes sense because you're part of a party. And I know Shooty here referenced that the game is played in a party of three, and I wanted to point out that while Undertale was heavily influenced by Earthbound and the Mother series, this one is heavily influenced by Final Fantasy in more ways than just a party system, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get more into that later. It's great though. Like, and again, the characters are great. Like Raziel, he's fucking adorable, like a puppy, just the whole way through. You have Susie, who's
Edgelord.
Edgelord meets Beach Bully,
with a good heart at the end.
Lancer's like, everyone tries to draw like a comparison between him and Sans, but Sans is more like cynical and stuff. Lancer's like clueless, so he's like the clueless, goofy guy in the group. And then your character Chris, who tears his goddamn soul out in the end.
We told you we were giving you spoilers, and we're giving it to you.
Well, the whole game is spoilers. You cannot talk about a Toby Fox game without basically spoiling integral parts of the game.
Like you said, the characters are strong, and obviously considering Toby Fox made Undertale, and that's also where the characters were strong, I would assume that that strength of Undertale would carry over to Deltarune.
This game is better than Undertale, in my opinion.
Yeah, same here. So basically,
it's a 3-hour demo, and it is, in my opinion, just way better than Undertale.
Yeah,
which is a good thing, because that's what you want them to do, is improve on the previous formula.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was very semi-lukewarm on Undertale. I liked it, but there was a lot of flaws I had with it. And I felt, me and you came to the conclusion that it was kind of for a specific audience. But this one, I loved it a lot more, and I could recommend it to anyone compared to Undertale.
I don't know, I think I can only still recommend it to, like, Undertale types, but...
I guess, but, I mean, even... I know in the beginning, at least of the console version of the game, it says that this game is only meant for people who are familiar with Undertale, and I don't necessarily think that's true. I think anyone could play it without getting Undertale. I mean, you'll probably miss on like a couple like context behind some characters, or why being there is a big shock to other people, but
yes, I don't know. I mean, obviously you could never like recommend this to a bro dude or whatever. Like,
well, yeah, obviously, but like, I mean,
that's
RPGs in general are just ones that you can't
see. I don't know though. I don't know. That's a tough, because also this one takes out a big theme to this one is they take out a lot of choice.
Yeah, choices don't matter. That's said in a couple times at the beginning. I will say though, the story-wise, the message of let's all be friends, it's kind of there. It's
still there, and it's still heavy-handed in a lot of ways. Like, I have never tried it yet, but if you attempt a genocide run in this game, you actually can't kill anything. At one point, they just walk out of the fight. That being said, you can't really do a true genocide run because everything just leaves the fight.
I don't think it's as integral to the big thing of the game, though, because I think Undertale put a big deal on that. And yeah, there is some, to some extent, it is in Deltarune, but it's not, because,
it's not as, I see what you mean, it's not as important because there's, like, other themes going on here.
Yeah, and I think Toby Fox did, I hope to God this is true, but I think Toby Fox did this intentionally, because my biggest fear for the next following chapters, or the full game, is that Toby Fox is just gonna fucking retread a lot of the themes of Undertale, which is let's all be friends, killing in video games, question morality type shit. Like, if you're gonna do a sequel, you should try something different.
Obviously, yes.
Or leave all that shit behind you and just create a good game. And, you know, that's just my big fear for that. But we're not talking about, I mean, I guess it's
we actually are gonna go into light speculation. We're not gonna, nothing like too specific, like the triangle theory you and me had earlier. Yeah. Well, we're not going into that, but more so, I guess my speculation, because you already kind of gave yours. My speculation generally is the idea that it's going to be a parallel timeline of sorts, because that's something they kind of established in the first Undertale game, is that it's a multiverse. So I'm thinking this is like a sequel in another timeline, in a way, where things happened way differently, but at the same time it's further in the future than Undertale took place in originally. They it's established, like, a lot of the characters like still have their similar established relationships compared to Undertale, which is like Toriel and Asgore are divorced, if you will.
Yeah. There are still characters that are in Undertale that are.
But then also they changed some up. Like, Undying has never met Alpheus. Okay, so I guess we can go into like the visuals and stuff now.
Right.
This game is better visually than Undertale, because Undertale, like I said it before, it just really heavily uses black everywhere. And while this game still kind of does that, it's at least has a little more color. That's just the general... the gist of it.
I do agree. I do think some of the backgrounds are a lot better. There is some, just spam of one little thing here and there in the background, but I think background-wise, it's still a bit better. It's still a bit varied.
I think I do want to, establish, though, it's almost lazy, just... I know it's supposed to be kind of stylized, but at the same time, it just doesn't make for an interesting environment when everything's black except for the road you walk on. It's just kind of bland and lazy in a way. Certain sections, it works in the favor of some places, like the castle. It works fine because it's kind of just stylized, like a drawing or something like that. But then, you have, the forest, it looks great because they got the trees everywhere and stuff like that. The field is kind of okay, it's not terrible, but at the same time, the black should be used much more sparingly. The best spot, I said this to you before, that the black was used in was the very beginning when you first land in the Darkland. It's just this dark empty space and there's no sound except for the sound of your clanking boots.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. Except, I don't mind. I mean, the use of black isn't a big detriment to me. I will kind of slightly disagree on that. Generally, I agree, just with that little caveat.
Well, my reason for it is it kind of clashes with the characters. So you have characters who look like completed characters, but then you have backgrounds that don't look completed. And it kind of clashes. You obviously want it to be stylized, but why not make your character stylized then? In a way. Something along those lines. It would just kind of, in my opinion, work a little bit better, but... I
mean, the characters are still pretty stylized. I don't know what you're getting on about, but...
No. They're not, It's the background was made by Tim Burton, but the characters were made by Adventure Time.
Oh, so the styles
they kind of clash a bit. It would just be more interesting visually
if they were consistent.
A little more consistent. I mean, it's not a total detriment to me. I still enjoy it and all that because the cartoon shit works in the game's favor. Like the humor just is like great with this game, and it's great when the characters like suddenly turn into what is the equivalent of a 5-year-old drawing when they're like, what? So it just works in its favor in some ways. But then you have the background that's trying to be like, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get you.
Okay, next one. We also got the soundtrack.
Soundtrack, I liked it. I actually liked it a lot more.
This is a better soundtrack. Like the soundtrack, not all the time, but in most parts in this, actually feel like it was tailored to set a tone for certain portions, as opposed to the first one, where like the first one it just had like catchy tunes and stuff, but it didn't always set the tone for the area you were in.
And this does still have some catchy tunes in it, like
it's still they're all catchy, but like most, not all of them, but most help set a tone at least. Yeah,
it's not as expansive of a soundtrack as Undertale, but what Toby Fox has provided here, I think, is a bit more versatile. As I said in my Undertale video, there is a heavy use of kind of this bit crushed guitar sound, which normally I wouldn't like, but I think in the terms of a 8-bit-esque soundtrack, that works in its favor. But I think that's part is usually used when Susie's on screen, and so I think that kind of complements her.
Yeah, like the
I guess it kind of reflects her punk rock attitude, because if you look at her outfit in the game, she looks like a punk rocker.
So the next one, gameplay. Okay, so gameplay.
This is
an improvement on the first.
Yes, a lot of things. This is probably my favorite. I had some issues with the previous Undertale game where I felt combat and RPG elements were a bit bare bones. RPG elements, I think it's kind of taken out almost completely, but combat-wise, it is so much deeper than what Undertale offered. Undertale still, like Undertale, Deltarune still offers your bullet hell, defense.
I wouldn't say deeper, I would say more fleshed out, because deeper would imply things like, you have like your skills and stuff, and you don't have that necessarily. You just have more like, they have a more proper party system. Your character is the well-balanced, well-rounded one. Raziel's the healer, and then you have your brute force of Susie. It's not, I don't think, deeper, but it's definitely more fleshed out than Undertale was, where all it was just a goddamn fucking slider, and you press X, and it's like, whoa. This game, at least, it gives you like more like options to work with and stuff like that. And since you can control more than one character, you can take on more than one enemy at a time. And so therefore it makes it slightly more fleshed out than Undertale.
And that's where the parallels to Final Fantasy come in. Whereas in Final Fantasy, you also have party members in, like I said previously, Deltarune also has party members. But what I like about this the most of the time is that you also kind of have to work with them in order to achieve the goal. Like, also in Deltarune, like Undertale, if you're trying to be a pacifist, you have to try to find interesting ways to try to not fight your enemy. But then with this, you also have to factor in multiple party members, so then you also have to work with them to try to, pacify them. Because there's a huge recurring...
Like having Chris tell Susie to throw Raziel at the Checkered King.
Yeah, like stuff like that. And then you also have to learn, teach Susie not to be a brute force and learn how to, be a pacifist. And for instance, like doing that would be like you can warn your enemies that.
Oh yeah, you have to warn your enemies for a good portion of the game that Susie's hits hurt.
Yeah.
So like they have like plenty of like instances like that. It's much more fleshed out gameplay wise than Undertale was.
Yeah. And the other part I want to mention about how Final Fantasy this parallels to Final Fantasy.
Oh, the spells?
Is this not only the spells, but the TP meter. So, so basically, like, unlike Undertale, Deltarune you have to dodge the bullet hell attacks, but it rewards you for dodging in near it, and then it fills up your TP meter. And how it indicates that is kind of like a hit marker-esque type thing. So then when the TP meter is filled up, you can use magic attacks, which is used by Rousey. And that's similar to Final Fantasy is because Final Fantasy also has something similar to where you have to fill up your magic meter in order to use like things like magic and summons. And that's kind of the second parallel that Deltarune has to Final Fantasy. And I do feel that adds a lot more to the overall experience to Deltarune. It's that combined with the already established well-rounded pacifist versus genocide gameplay of Undertale definitely adds a lot more flavor.
It's a shame you can't actually kill anything.
Yeah, you can't kill anything, but
that
it does.
Me the greatest.
It definitely adds a lot more variation and flavor, and fleshes, like what Shooty said, fleshes out the combat. And as a result, combat-wise, it's very enjoyable. I always look forward to my next battle playing Deltarune, and that's a good thing. You want to have that gameplay loop and have an interesting loop and have fresh things come out to keep your player engaged.
Or you could just not, and instead just have long hallway levels that you can reach to the end by simply holding down a single button the whole way through. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about cell phone games.
Oh. Yeah, you're right. So basically my final thoughts are, there are small little things from Undertale that carry over to Deltarune that kind of hamper their experience, but I feel they're very minor compared to Undertale because Deltarune offers a lot of things that are very much improved and a lot of things that I love a lot more in this game compared to Undertale. And as a result, I love this game a hell of a lot more. If I were to, I would give Undertale a 6. I would give this an 8 or a 9, basically. And I think I would recommend it to a lot more people based on that.
I think I'd have to give it a 7 because it's not the complete game.
Well, yeah,
I'm not into this episodic demo bullshit. Just give us the fucking game. Don't you miss the good old days when, when a game would come out, hey, look at our game. You'd be like, oh, okay. Oh, that was fun. Thank you for giving this to me. I will cherish this moment forever.
Yeah, it's a bit strange. The whole episodic thing trend kind of died a while ago.
I know, I really hope it's not episodic. I swear to God, I will do something extremely pathetic if it's episodic.
Alright, so your final thoughts are...
My final thoughts are, I like what this was. This was better than Undertale. I liked it. Improved combat helped a lot, and the humor in this was better, aided by the party system. I think these are good little changes that help it. I do also want to point out, though, that I'm tired of this hippy-dippy, you don't have to kill anything bullshit. I thought the entire point of a video game was to being able to do things you can't do in real life. If I want to kill everybody in my fucking video game, I don't want to be judged for doing it. Can I just say that?
Yes. Well, yeah, so would you recommend it?
To all the bro dudes out there, definitely play it.